Back in my college days, urban exploring was all the rage. One summer, we decided to take on an old, dilapidated asylum that had been closed for decades. The stories surrounding the place were chilling, but we were young and fearless, thinking we could handle anything. It was a cloudy afternoon when we arrived at the asylum. The towering brick walls were covered in graffiti, a testament to the countless explorers who had come before us. We slipped through a gap in the fence and made our way inside. The air was thick with a musty scent, and the silence was suffocating. As we ventured deeper into the building, we discovered rooms filled with old hospital equipment, rusted beds, and rotting furniture. The corridors seemed to stretch endlessly, the walls lined with peeling paint and faded wallpaper. We snapped photos and shared nervous laughs, trying to mask the unease creeping up on us. But as the sun began to set, a sense of dread settled in. Our flashlights flickered, casting eerie shadows on the walls. The temperature dropped noticeably, and the once faint sounds of creaking floorboards became more pronounced. It was as if the building itself was coming alive. We decided to head back to the entrance, but something was off. The path we had taken seemed to twist and turn in ways we hadn't remembered. Panic set in as we realized we were lost. Every hallway looked the same. Every door led to more darkness. Our jokes and laughter turned into hushed whispers. In our desperation to find an exit, we stumbled upon a room that seemed untouched by time. It was filled with old patient files, each one telling a haunting tale of suffering and neglect. The atmosphere was oppressive, and a feeling of being watched sent shivers down our spines. Then, a sound echoed through the corridor, a distant, eerie whisper that froze us in our tracks. We strained our ears, heartbeats pounding in our chests. Another whisper, followed by faint footsteps. Panic took over, and we ran in the opposite direction, praying to escape whatever was lurking in the shadows. Finally, after what felt like hours of running, we burst through a doorway and found ourselves back in the main entrance. Gasping for air, we scrambled through the gap in the fence and collapsed on the grass outside. Only then did we realize that we hadn't encountered another soul in the building. We were alone. We vowed never to return to that asylum, and the memories of that night haunted us for years. As urban explorers, we had faced our worst fears: the unknown, the supernatural, the feeling of being trapped in a place where time had stood still. It was a lesson that no matter how fearless we thought we were, some places are best left untouched, and some horrors can never truly be explained. For some background, this happened in 2014. In my hometown of Detroit, urban exploring was a way to reconnect with the city's history. It was a way to step into the past, to walk through forgotten places that had once been bustling centers of industry. My friends and I had heard rumors about an abandoned factory on the outskirts of the city. Intrigued, we decided to explore it one summer afternoon. The factory stood like a forgotten giant, its windows shattered, and its walls covered in layers of graffiti. The air was thick with the scent of rust and decay as we stepped inside, each cautious footfall echoing through the vast space. Broken machinery and discarded tools littered the floor, and the silence was punctuated only by the occasional drip of water from a leaky roof. As we ventured deeper into the factory, we stumbled upon rooms that hinted at its past life. Offices with peeling wallpaper and old filing cabinets, signs of the workers who once called this place their second home. In one corner, we found a bulletin board covered in faded Polaroids, snapshots of faces long forgotten. But our exploration took a chilling turn when we heard voices, faint at first, but growing steadily louder. Panic set in as we realized that we weren't alone. We ducked behind a stack of crates, hearts pounding in our chests. Through a crack in the wood, we watched as a group of men entered the factory. Their faces were hardened, their demeanor unfriendly. They seemed to be discussing something, their voices a mixture of anger and frustration. We strained our ears, trying to make out their words. It became clear that they were involved in something illegal, something that sent a shiver down our spines. We were just urban explorers, adventurers seeking a glimpse into the past. And now we found ourselves unwitting witnesses to something far more dangerous. As the men moved through the factory, we tried to stay hidden, our breath held in anticipation. It was a nerve-wracking game of hide and seek, each passing minute feeling like an eternity. Finally, they left, disappearing into the same shadows that had concealed us. With cautious steps, we emerged from our hiding spot, our hearts still racing. We knew we had to leave, to get out of there before they returned. As we slipped out of the factory and into the fading daylight, we couldn't shake the feeling that we had stumbled upon something far darker than we had ever expected. We never returned to that abandoned factory, the memories of that day serving as a stark reminder that urban exploring wasn't always a harmless adventure. In a city with a history as complex as Detroit's, there were stories hidden in every corner, some of them more sinister than others. As we left behind the factory and the secrets it held, we knew that our curiosity had led us into a world we were never meant to see. Back in my hometown in rural Tennessee, there's this abandoned house that's been a magnet for local kids like us. This old place with its peeling paint, broken windows, and wild garden has this eerie vibe that pulls you in. It's like a treasure chest of secrets just waiting to be opened. So one lazy summer day, me and my buddies decided it was high time to check out the abandoned house. We'd heard all kinds of spooky stories about it, but we weren't buying into the whole haunted thing. Armed with our flashlights and youthful courage, we headed to that old house that had fueled our imaginations for ages. The sun was setting as we cautiously pushed the creaky front door open. The air was all musty and dusty, like it hadn't been disturbed in ages. Our flashlight beams danced around, revealing old photos and furniture covered with white sheets. It was like the clock had stopped in there. As we moved deeper inside, this weird feeling started creeping up. The floors squeaked underfoot, and the sound of the wind outside made this eerie background noise. It felt like the past was speaking to us in hushed tones, telling stories we weren't meant to hear. Then we stumbled upon this room that was different from the rest. The walls were covered in these intricate paintings, like murals, telling tales of happiness, heartbreak, and love. It was so strange, seeing these vibrant scenes amidst the decay. We were captivated, wondering about the person behind those brushstrokes and why they'd been left behind. Just as daylight started fading, we decided it was time to leave. But just as we were turning to go, this faint voice filled the air. It was like a whisper, soft and sorrowful, but we couldn't quite make out the words. That's when we realized we weren't alone in that house. Our flashlight beams flickered over to the doorway. And there it was, an actual figure standing there, dressed in old-timey clothes, hidden in the shadows. Our hearts started racing as this figure began moving toward us, slow and deliberate. We were rooted to the spot, unable to look away or even comprehend what we were seeing. Then adrenaline kicked in, and we hightailed it out of that abandoned house, our footsteps pounding in the night. We didn't dare look back, but the memory of those haunting whispers and that mysterious figure stayed with us. It's a reminder that some things are better off staying hidden, buried in the past.